Everybody, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening for those who are here live, depending on your time zone. And hello and welcome to everybody joining us on the replay as well. We appreciate all of you. Thanks so much for joining. For those who have not worked with me or met me before, I'm Ian Foster. I'm an attorney by profession. I've been practicing for about 25 years, and I spent much of my career inside government, where I was a business and tax prosecutor, and I now bring all of that inside knowledge to the transformational industry. So for the last 7 years, I have focused myself entirely on the coaching and healing industry, trying to help coaches, healers, other transformational leaders, service-based business owners try to build businesses that are in alignment with their values and in alignment with the law, so they can be visible and vibrant and not have to worry about scary government people like me coming after you or lawsuits or all that stuff, but just be out there living your mission and serving your purpose. So welcome everybody. Appreciate you. And let's get going talking about a legal roadmap as we kind of finish off 2025 and what we might want to think about when we get into 2026. And also, for those who are newer to my stuff, I'm fairly informal. I don't stand a lot on formalities. So if you have questions, please drop it in the chat or raise your hand. Do it while you're thinking about the question so we can get it addressed. If I don't call on you right away, that's because I'm just trying to finish my train of thought that I'm on. So go ahead and ask something if you have something to ask. So what we're going to talk about today is trying to eliminate some of that legal confusion. You guys get legal anxiety, legal confusion when it comes to law, taxes, contracts, business entities, all that stuff. That's normal. Totally normal to feel that way. It just means your nervous system is working properly. So that's the good news. So don't worry about it. You're not alone. Look, I get anxiety about the legal and tax side of my business, and that's what I do for a living. So it's absolutely okay. But let's eliminate some of that confusion, reduce that anxiety by identifying where we might have gaps and where we can have some risk that we can reduce or prevent with some easy actions, and then talk about a roadmap for moving forward. We're going to talk about some of the agreements that we might want to think about when it comes to our stuff and get over that legal guesswork. There's a lot of guesswork involved, and it's okay. You don't know what you don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So if nobody ever taught you this stuff before, that's okay too, right? You're not expected to know everything yourself. That's why there are other experts that we all turn to. There's lots that I don't know about running my business, so I turn to experts on those sides of it as well. So let's talk about the gaps that go unnoticed, and often they go unnoticed until there's a problem, and then it becomes very difficult to fix it. Let's talk about where we might be misaligned and where we might have some basic oversights and some small errors that kind of compound. And today's an overview, right? So we're not going to dive deep into any of these areas. We're kind of giving you the overview and the roadmap and things you want to identify moving forward over the next year. We have other venues and workshops where we do dive deep into all of these issues, but let's see if we can do a good overview today. So the framework that we're going to talk about today, three of the most important legal pillars if you have a mission-driven business. First are the agreements that you have in place. Our contracts and agreements with the people we work with. It could be clients, business partners, colleagues that we collaborate with, co-creators. These are going to define our expectations and responsibilities. So we'll talk a little bit about agreements. So we're going to talk about different policies we want to have in place, the terms and the disclosures that protect us and protect our clients, that create a safe space for all of us to operate together and grow together. And we're going to talk about your business structure kind of on the back end, your entity setup, how it relates to your banking, your taxes, and the documentation that you want to have in place. So again, there are more pillars than this when it comes to running a successful business, but we're just going to kind of cover these basic ones today. So when it comes to that first pillar, the agreements you need, how many of you already have agreements in place with your clients who you serve? Yeah, see a lot of hands. That's good. You want to make sure you're defining the services you have in place, what it is you're doing, when do you do it, what are the payment terms, What are everybody's rights? Help your clients feel safe. And then when you hire folks, does anybody here hire anybody to work in your business? It could be as simple as a VA, a graphic designer, other coaches and healers, right? I have some VAs that help my wife and I with our business. You want to make sure you have agreements in place with them. It protects the ownership. It, again, sets forth everybody's rights and responsibilities. It just makes things clear. Do any of you collaborate with other folks in putting on services together, co-creating content, anything like that? Some of you do, and if you don't now, you may in the future. My wife and I, in the businesses we run, we don't just collaborate together, we collaborate with other people in our industry to co-create and deliver services together so we can bring together our strengths. You want agreements in place with that. And you might need written agreements in place where there's intellectual property. If you guys are creating content, any sort of content, this could be written content, video content, audio content, whatever it might be. You want to make sure it's clear who owns all that stuff. You can see how disputes over that can cause trouble. So when it comes to mistakes in our agreements, here's the single biggest one I see. And this is going to sound obvious to a lot of you. Put them in writing, right? Does that sound obvious? It sounds obvious, and that's good if it sounds obvious to you. Why do you think I say this literally every time I talk about agreements? Right? If it's that obvious, why am I always saying it? I still see people not having written agreements. It's much more common than you might think. Why are we putting these things in writing? What's the point? You guys want to drop it in the chat or raise your hand if anybody wants to speak. What is the point of putting it all in writing? Can't we just trust each other? Look, your clients, your business partners, your collaborators, you like these people, you work well together. Why can't we just have a handshake and trust each other? What's the point of putting it in writing? Danielle, yeah.
Yeah, people's memory is faulty.
Yeah.
So
Memories are faulty, right? Anybody had a relationship where communication is actually pretty good between the two of you, but you still remember conversations differently? Right? Doesn't mean anybody's a bad person. Pam, yeah.
Yeah, it proved to be quite analytical in the long run, but created disagreements and arguments in the short run.
Yeah, leads to a lot of disagreements and arguments. So we can all see the benefits of putting this stuff in writing. Here's another big mistake I see all the time. People using legalese instead of plain language. Now, I have in the past, in fact, I'm in the process of doing this for a client now, drafted 50-page long documents in complex legalese. These usually involve sales and purchases of entire businesses that involve hundreds of thousands, if not several $1,000,000 at a pop. You can see why then you might want a really long document and complicated legalese if you're spending millions of bucks, or if you're planning to receive millions of dollars. And it's worth paying me to do that. And everybody's represented by attorneys. Now, when it comes to you and your clients, do you want 50 pages of legalese? Not usually, right? You want it to be short and in plain language and in your voice. I see people using one-size-fits-all templates that may or may not apply and might have outdated language in them. I do have legal templates that I sell, but I only sell them along with other services where I'm training you how to use them and customize them. I don't just sell them cold or out of the blue to folks. Templates are a hammer, and sometimes a hammer is fine, but often with your clients, a hammer is not what you need. You need a scalpel. And the wrong energy. I see people putting the wrong energy in their written agreements. So let's say I come to you, you're looking at hiring me on, and I come to you and say, I'd love to work together, and I'm so sorry, I have this I have this legal thing that we have to sign. My lawyer says we have to do it. Can you please sign it so we can work together? How's that energy? You feeling really confident and trusting? Not so much. On the other hand, what if I come to you and say, I can't wait to work together. We're going to partner up on your healing journey, on your business journey, whatever it might be. This is going to be great. And I have this simple agreement that it's going to help keep me safe. It's going to keep you safe. It's going to set up a safe container so we all understand what we're doing so we can have this really long-term partnership. A little better? Totally different energy, right? So check the energy that you're putting into this stuff. Any questions? Anything we talked about so far? When it comes to the agreements we want to put in place? So the next pillar I said we were talking about today are the policies we have in place. And often these are written into our agreements, but they might be written into other places as well. So if you have a web presence, some type of website, you want to make sure you have those basic website terms. Now, I don't draft these for people, and I don't suggest you draft them either because there are already teams of lawyers who do this for you. If you're using different hosting services, different platforms, these are often included with it as part of your subscription. But this is the tons of pages of website legalese where it says terms and conditions down at the bottom of the website that nobody reads, right? So nobody's going to read yours, but you have to have it on there. So make sure it's there. You're not going to read mine and I'm not going to read yours. Nobody reads any of it, but it's got to be on there. You want some sort of privacy policy, right? So don't your clients reveal often things that are personal to you? Personal stuff about their life, confidential stuff about their businesses, what's going on with them? You want them to trust you. You want your clients to know that you take their privacy and confidentiality seriously. And so you're going to have some sort of policy in place. Now, some of this will be spelled out in your agreement with them. Some of it will be spelled out in your client bill of rights. Some of it may be written on a separate privacy policy. You may have it as a disclaimer or policy on your website, but you want to have some sort of clear, consistent policy in place for what kind of information you are collecting, how you're storing it, how you're protecting it, and when you're going to release it so that your clients trust you. So Pam, the basic website terms kind of look the same regardless of what sort of your business you're running. That's when you go to somebody's website and at the very bottom it says that like website terms or website terms and conditions and stuff like that. It's about the information that the hosting platform is collecting. Yeah, and whoever is hosting your website is going to have some sort of terms like that. Russ, for your privacy policy, it depends on where you want to put it. You might have something basic online that says, I take your privacy seriously. I'm going to protect your information. But you do want it in some sort of document between you and your clients as well. If you're running courses, programs, retreats, events, anything like that, you're going to want policies in place that talk about the rules for people participating, payment and refunds, stuff like that. This is where you're saying things like, hey, we're going to have this program. We're going to show up on Zoom calls together. Everybody be on their best behavior. Right? If you're disruptive, you can be dismissed. If you violate other people's confidentiality, you can be dismissed.
Sorry.
You've got some background noise. You can always unmute yourself. And whenever you're charging for your services, you need a payment and refund policy. And again, this may be also spelled out in your agreement, in your contracts with folks, in the terms and conditions for the programs and courses you run. But you want clear payment terms so people know what they owe, when they owe it, how they pay it. and a refund policy. And your refund policy could be as simple as I don't give refunds, or it might be refunds in 30 days or refunds upon these conditions. Just make sure you have that policy in place. Prevent those unnecessary refund claims. Prevent the fights that get in place when this stuff is not clear. And yeah, some of this can get complicated, right? So payment and refund policies, I run an entire Saturday workshop in September of every year where that's all we talk about is your payment and refund policies. Right? So that's why today's kind of a roadmap and an overview, because behind that one bullet point is an entire workshop full of content that we dig into. The one on privacy policies, that one we have an entire workshop coming up in June, where that's all we talk about all day is your privacy policies. So some of the mistakes I see are just like with outdated contract templates and agreement templates, old policy templates. I like to revise a lot of my stuff every year, my policies, my agreements, everything, because new stuff comes up. I learn things, or I realize things could be phrased a different way. Could be more helpful. I could improve the energy that I'm putting in there. I could have it so it's stated more clearly. Missing pieces that you need in there. And then this is one that doesn't get talked about a lot, is your terms are non-aligned. Your various policies, right? So you might have policies that are posted online. Some of them are offline. Some of them are written and printed out. Some of them are separate pieces of paper. Some of them are part of your contracts. You want to make sure that they're relatively consistent. And you're thinking, well, of course they're going to be, except it's easy for these things to get inconsistent. Like I said, a lot of my own stuff, I try to revise it once a year. Well, let's say I revise one of my contracts at the beginning of the year, and then I forget to revise some other things so that the new language and the new policy I want is consistent through it. We kind of build this stuff piecemeal, right? We don't sit down and do all of our legal paperwork at one time, just like we don't do all of our healing at one time. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly you're healed, and you don't wake up one morning and suddenly all your legal stuff is done. No, this is a journey, not a destination. We build it piecemeal. It's easy to end up with stuff that's not aligned or conflicting. So make sure you're constantly looking through and making sure that everything's consistent. Does that make sense? Any questions on any of that? I know it's a lot I'm throwing at you, and we're making good time today, which is okay. We probably all have lots of stuff to get done. So the third pillar is this back-end business structure. This has to do with your business entity. When I say business entity, what do you all think? If you want to drop it in the chat, what do you think of when I say business entity? Anything come to mind? Any words or phrases? What's a business entity? Yeah, limited liability company. Your sole proprietorship, sort of. So your business entity, we're usually talking about things like corporations and limited liability companies, right? These are things you have to form. You have to take affirmative action to form them. You have to go to your Secretary of State's website. You have to file the paperwork. You have to actually create it. It's a separate legal person from you. It's not you and you are not it. And the whole point there is to make sure that your business and your personal life are not the same thing. If you don't have a business entity, if you're operating as a sole proprietor or as a DBA, then your business and you are the same. Right? There's no difference. So you want to make sure your business and you are not the same thing. That's a way of siloing off your liability, right? So if something goes wrong in your personal life, it doesn't drag down your business. If something goes wrong in your business, it doesn't drag down your personal life. It also just helps clients see that you're like taking it seriously and being professional. Sometimes I heard it said, I don't necessarily personally like this phrase, but some people use it. It shows that you're operating your business like a grown-up. right? You're doing it the real way. You want to make sure also that you have separate accounts, separate bank accounts. This is for your own accounting and tax purposes. And again, it shows that you and your business are not the same thing, that you're running it as a real business. Do you all have separate bank accounts for your businesses now? Most of you do. If you don't, now you know what tomorrow's project is. It's usually one of the first things you do when building a business, right? So if you haven't done that yet, that's okay, because you don't know what you don't know, but now you do.
What about if you can transfer money from the business to your own account?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? That's
Yeah,
okay?
in fact, that's how you pay yourself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if the money's always stuck in your business, then you can't pay your personal bills. Yeah, so you can definitely, you make money in the business and then you transfer it out to your personal account. Think about your taxes, right? If you're running a business, you're filing additional tax forms showing the business income and expenses. And if you're using a business entity like an LLC, you want to make sure you have the correct tax classification for it. One of the great things about a limited liability company is that it can morph itself into almost any classification from a tax perspective. Now, this also means it's a little complicated and you have choices to make, but it also makes it extremely flexible. An LLC can be almost anything for tax purposes. That's one of the fun things about it. But you want to make sure you have that right classification in place. How's your record keeping for your business? I saw some funny faces there. That's okay. My record keeping is not as good as it should be either, right? I'm not perfect. It's a pain. I hate doing all that paperwork too, just like everybody else. Now, it's much easier for me to help my clients with their record keeping. Why do you think that is? You guys know, right? Same reason it's easy to help your clients with their emotional baggage than it is to work on yours. It's not mine. It's not my baby. Right? So it's easy for me to help you with your taxes and your setup and your contracts and your record keeping because I can remain objective. It's an intellectual puzzle for me. It's fun. It's a lot harder to do that with my own business. You know, I'm also an energetic healer, certified in some modalities. You know, I can see your baggage. That's easy. Right? I can help draw it out, guide you on the healing process. My own baggage, oh boy, that's a lot harder. That's why I go to a therapist. That's why I go to a healer, is so I have someone objective to help me draw it out, right? I don't try to draw it out of myself. Yeah, Russ, every state has some sort of minimum annual fee or tax for an LLC. In California, it's $800. So mistakes I see in this back-end structure is choosing the wrong entity. I still see people occasionally forming partnerships or limited partnerships when they should be forming an LLC or a corporation. Not having a contract between the owners and the business, right? If there's multiple owners, you need agreements in place. And even if you're the sole owner of the business, you need an agreement in place between you and the business as to how the business is operated. Because remember, the business is not you and you are not the business. You're different people as far as the law is concerned. And not doing that record keeping, that nasty, tedious record keeping. Right now, you may have an accountant, a CPA, a VA, somebody who helps you with all that. There's various software you can use for it, right? But it's okay if that part is not fun. I get it, like I said. Any questions on any of that?
I have one.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this as a DBA, but it's a DBA, a different name, because it's the name of my business. So, and my husband and I file a joint, but I have a separate part that covers my business. So you're saying that I'm really exposing our household and not being an LLC. Is that right?
Yeah, the DBA doesn't provide you any sort of legal protection. It's still you, but a different name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I just throw everything to the auditor, not the auditor, the
Your
CPA.
accountant. Yeah.
Yeah, the CPA guy. And, we sign it at the end of it, send it in. So, but I've been wondering about the LLC. So it's really, I've been thinking that I needed to do that. Been feeling like maybe that would be a smart move. So I appreciate your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, and that's coming from, I was a business and tax lawyer for the government, so I saw how these mistakes affected real people, and that's why I try to do that now, is help people put this stuff together in a way that's cost effective and not like your typical stuffy lawyer trying to do it. Hopefully, I try to be cool about it. We do this stuff in community together. We figure it out together. We go through it together, piece by piece. Try to do it with as little anxiety as possible. There's always going to be some. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, I get anxiety when I go see my therapist because I don't know what's going to happen when I get in there. But I still go.
But that's because you're getting ready to let go of it.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to let go, and the feelings are going to come out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. And this is what we do. In fact, so we run workshops the second Saturday of every month. We call them the second Saturday workshops. So I'll get into that. Oh, that's right. We're going to do our roadmap first. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited today. There's a lot happening today, right? So our little roadmap for the year is to kind of think about what we talked about today and figure out what our gaps and weak points are. Those exposure points, things like we don't have a separate bank account. We don't have that LLC form. We don't have the agreement for this thing or the other thing. Making sure we have those agreements in place, making sure we know how to write them and that they're enforceable, but also with that good energy, written well in our own words. We run entire workshops on that where we actually sit down and write our agreements together and get feedback from each other on them.
An appointment with Dr. at the 2. What's your name? Jackie DiMaggio.
Making sure that everything's in alignment. And like we said, we build this stuff piecemeal. It's easy to forget to go back and make sure that everything's aligned. Making sure we have that structure in place, not just having the LLC in place, but knowing how to use it properly. An LLC is a tool like any other tool. If we wave it around recklessly, it can cause more trouble than it fixes. Oh, and that record keeping. I know. We keep going back to that yucky record keeping, but you got to do it. And then, again, that tough love is for me too. I'm a few months behind on my own record keeping. And so what am I doing? I'm procrastinating on getting it done because I have several months work to get done at one time, but it's coming up to the end of the year, so I have to get it done now. Now, I run lots of webinars like this, teaching different stuff. And people show up, and that's great. And I'm glad to help you guys out. And yet, you still have to do something with it, right? Otherwise, what are we doing together if we're not taking some action and implementing this stuff? So this is our business formation workshop is coming up this Saturday, the 13th. This is part of our second Saturday workshop series, which is exactly what it sounds like. The second Saturday of every month, we get together and talk about critical legal, tax, and other issues for heart-centered business owners, mostly coaches and healers and similar businesses. It's going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific this Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern. This is a workshop lasts most of the day. This one usually runs about 5 to 6 hours, depending on how many folks show up, how many breaks we need, and how much live interaction we get. This is usually one of our more popular ones. We do it at the end of the year in December because when it comes to forming our businesses or altering our business structure, we usually want to make those changes at the beginning of the year for tax purposes. right? If you make the changes in the middle of the year, it becomes a little more complicated tax and accounting wise. So we run this workshop in December to help you get that LLC set up or altered or use it differently come January 1st. So we're going to talk about how to choose and form the right business entity to protect your business, your income, your personal assets. We're going to talk about the differences between LLCs, corporations, partnerships, some other entities in there, and why you might choose one over another, what the pros and cons are for each one. We're going to talk about how to actually set it up. We're going to hone in mostly on LLCs because that's what 90% of people are using right now for small businesses. So we're going to go through how to set up that LLC step by step. Where do you go? What do you do to set it up? You get your checklist of all the stuff you have to do to get it in place. We're going to talk about for those who are running multiple businesses or income streams. Does anyone here have multiple businesses or income streams? My wife and I run 3 businesses together. So we have multiple lines of business, but it's still all my wife and I. So you can imagine those 3 businesses, they still get knotted up and interact. I have a number of clients who have multiple income streams and lines of work. So we're going to talk about how to manage those multiple entities. And we're going to do some real life examples on what that stuff looks like. Is anyone here a licensed professional? For example, I'm an attorney. Is anyone here an accountant or a nurse or a doctor or therapist, anything like that, right? So if you're a licensed professional, that's going to affect what kind of entity you set up and how it interacts with your other entities. You don't want to put your license at risk, right? You went through the meat grinder to get that license. You don't want to lose it because of a simple legal mistake on the back end. We have a bunch of templates, checklists, spreadsheets, stuff like that all get bonused in with this workshop. So you get my actual like P&L spreadsheets and asset contribution spreadsheets, templates for some of this back-end business stuff that you need, and then the checklists to use it all properly. And then, of course, we sit down together all day on Saturday and go through it together live on Zoom. And we're doing it in community. So you get to meet other professionals in the coaching and healing industry. Some of you, I see a few familiar faces, have been through the second Saturdays together. You'll get to see the other people in there, get to know them, see how all this affects their business. They get to see how it affects your business. And I find we all learn a lot more that way. I could yap at you. Look, I'm a former government lawyer. You want to pay me to yap at you all day? I could do that. I'll have a great time, but we're not going to get a lot out of it. So that's why we do it together as a group. So you get the full day of live workshopping on Zoom this Saturday. We're going to have a lot of essential and very practical guidance, step through step, on how to structure your business and use that entity properly, right? So it's not just about the different entity types and choices, but how do you actually set it up properly? How do you make sure you're using it properly to get all the benefit out of it? If you have a business entity in place and are not using it properly, it does you no good whatsoever and even can do more harm than good. We're going to do a lot of real life examples from how I run my business, from how my clients have done theirs, and a lot of Q&A time. So you get the examples from the other people there and they can see how it works for you as well. You'll get the full recording. So if you can't make it all, or if you just want to come back and review it, you can do that anytime. And again, you get bonused in for our Excel spreadsheets, our document templates, and the checklist that help you get through all this. So if you prefer the payment plan, you can sign up for $197 right now and do 3 payments of $197, or you can do 1 payment of $547 if you want to save money. I know some of you are from EMPA, so you can use the coupon code SAVE20 if you're from EMPA. That's a special thing we have in place for EMPA. So don't forget that. So I can drop a couple things in the chat. So there's the website, and also just here's a direct clickable link as well, in case the website doesn't resolve for you. So there are a lot of FAQs on there. There's more information on the page there. The coupon code for EMPA SAVE20 works on both the payment plan and the full pay option. And let me check. I do currently have a holiday code that I think works on the full pay option, but I need to double check that real quick. I do. So if chat, EMPA members can use Safe 20 and it works on both payment options. If you're not from EMPA, you can use Xmas 20. That works on the full pay option for the holidays. Nancy, good question. So you already have an LLC set up. Basically, this workshop is going to help you understand if you have the right tax selection in place and if you're actually using it all properly, as well as the accounting, and gives you the spreadsheets and the templates and stuff. Sometimes it's set up properly and sometimes it's not. And for those of you that don't have it set up, we're going to teach you how to do that yourself. You know, some folks prefer to pay me my hourly rate to go do all this for them, but most folks just don't need that. I prefer to do this in the workshops, in community, together, right? So we're all learning, and I'm showing you guys. It's the old adage of I'm teaching you how to fish instead of handing you fish. Any questions on anything we talked about today?
I was going to put this in the chat, but I'm just going to say it because I can't type as fast.
Sure.
The payment that you just outlined, is that for all the second Saturdays or just this one particular one?
That's just for this one. I can, if you guys are curious to see all the second Saturdays, I can drop a link there.
Okay.
You can see the upcoming schedule for 2026. And the EMPA coupon works on all the second Saturdays, including like the full year-long package and everything. That's part of the benefit of being an EMPA member. So for those who don't have your insurance through EMPA, and no, I don't get no kickback from EMPA or nothing like that. I like them and we work well together, but I don't get any sort of benefit from, you know, they believe in what I do and I believe in what they do. They're great people over there. So yeah, if you click on that other one there, you can see what's coming up for 2026 and all the subjects. And so, and as you'll see, it's like getting half of them for free if you buy the year-long package. So a lot of people just end up doing that sooner or later anyway. But if you're not sure you want to commit for the year right now, if you want to see how we run one of our workshops, then this is a really good one to attend. And you'll get to see how it goes. And then you can decide whether you want to join for the year after that. So, yeah. Nancy, yes.
So, with us all being in different states, how are things impacted that we know that we have things set up the way it would need to be in our state?
The setup process for almost every state is functionally identical. The state websites are going to look different, but you're still going to go on the website. You're going to file a form that has a certain name. You're going to pay the annual fee. You're going to get a bank account. And then most of the tax stuff is federal law that applies to all the states.
Okay.
So yeah.
And that goes for the classes and such that you have on the forms? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I teach things in a very broad manner. So I live in California. I'm licensed to practice in California. But I don't, the way I teach things are so that they're broadly applicable around the US and Canada. So okay. I get people from every state and province.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great questions, thank you. All right, how are we doing? Any other questions? I know sometimes I can be kind of rapid fire with this stuff. And that's in an overview like today. In the workshops on the Saturdays, so like this Saturday, we're going to be spending a lot more time going into detail and more time, you know, taking a lot of questions on everything as we dive deep into it. All right, very good. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you all have a great week, and I hope to see some of you very soon. Take care.
Quick question.
Sure.
Is the code, it's SAFE, SAFE 20 or SAVE?
SAFE, SAFE
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, as in stay safe. Yeah, everybody stay safe. I'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.